BI. Victor Davis Hanson.
Yes.
Your thoughts on this?
I don't want to be partisan, but when you look at the Scalise shootings and the 2 attempts on Donald Trump and Luigi Mangione, you get the idea that the left feels that they're so morally superior and intellectually superior that almost any means necessary, and especially the reaction to these things. When Trump was almost killed, you looked at the social media, and when the Luigi Mangione was canonized after he killed a man who had worked his way up from the middle class to be a CEO. So I think it doesn't do any good to just say this is violence and we've got to just stop the violence. This is coming from one particular side who's justified it because they think that Trump and his supporters represent an existential evil. And then if you keep telling everybody that Trump is a fascist and he is a Nazi, then they feel that they're going to be heroic. I think we saw that with a second assassination attempt on Trump. The other thing is, Megan, very quickly, it marks we crossed the Rubicon because it was sort of known that journalists or people who were in opinion journalism on both sides were exempt. And we didn't, I know all of us, you probably more than I, but if you go to an airport, 1 out of 20 people wants to confront you. But there wasn't anybody really it's not common in the United States to go after journalists. That's what Charlie was. He wasn't just an activist, he was a journalist. And he wrote, and he was very good at it. But the idea that now you go after the people who deliver information, that's kind of a new thing that they have. And I just know in the last 3 months, I live out in kind of a rural area. I've been swatted where sheriffs that armed said there was an intruder. There wasn't. They came armed to my door. I've had $90,000 drained out of all my bank accounts by hackers. And I think we're reaching a level now with the vituperation. And we saw that with the shooting on the rail, the killing of our young immigrant. Yes, and when you start to collate all the things that people have said, white, whether it's on The View or Joy Reid or all of those crazy people, that language of deprecation and vituperation, it filters down. And they're the ones that have always told us that words matter. It's everywhere. I'm believe it or not, I'm reviewing right now a book on classics, and the professor who's on the left has used the word whiteness and white in a book not concerned with race 258 times in a 148-page book, I count them, all about anger and hatred. And until we say to people, we don't really care what ethnic group or racial group or political group, but there is a zero tolerance for that type of unadulterated hatred. And I just remember after the campaign, after the election, Sonny Hostin got on The View, and the first thing she said is she blamed uneducated white women. I remember that. White women. Nobody should collectivize. So I think part of it is we're collectivizing people and we're putting them in this demonic category. On the right, we're saying these people are the equivalent of Hitler or the new republic with a picture of Trump with a Hitler mustache. And we've just lowered the bar so much, it's inevitable that people are going to come out of the woodwork and consider that the violence they use against people on the right, or right, whether they're officials or now journalists apparently, is going not only to be exempt, but it's going to be canonized, and they're going to be heroic. And I think I don't want to make any macabre predictions, but I bet you, and I haven't looked at the news, there will be people immediately that will cheer this on social media.
There already has been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There already has been.
I know that, Victor, you got to run, but do you have time for me to just ask you before you go, what do you expect the reaction is going to be? I mean, what's going to happen next?
Well, I think when you ask that, it's going to become the two sources of reaction will be obviously from political officials and from the media. And the media knows that you don't want to have a counter reaction. So I would expect all of the officials, left and right, and all of the major journalists left and right will condemn this, if not for the right reason of morality, then for their own self-interest. because you don't want to get into a spiral. But I have been listening to stuff that's been said on podcasts, on major TV shows, that I cannot believe. It's just pure racial hatred, ethnic hatred, and the targets more than ever are the so-called bogeyman of the white male MAGA right-wing fascist, and that's got to stop. When you have that vocabulary of disparagement from Joe Biden, that they were garbage, that they were chumps, that were dregs, and from Hillary, deplorable or irredeemable, Klinger, it's just too much finally. And it's all been predicated on the idea, well, this is a privileged group and they have a special category. You can say whatever you want. Conservatives, that's over with. I mean, this is the first time in my memory that a major journalistic figure has been targeted for assassination that I can think of. And let's hope it doesn't start something. But this is really new. This happens in South America. It happens in Mexico. It even happens, as we saw with Salman Rushdie in Europe. But it has not happened here yet. And I'm afraid that this is something the left, in their desperation, if this person turns out to be that way, has embarked on. It's time, I think,